Salvete amici. And now today we are going to look at a new aspect of verbs, and this in fact will be a lesson that fills out and kind of completes all of the different ways of expressing the present, active, indicative of just about all of the verbs that we know. So let's take a look at our topic. We are calling this verbs, first and second person plural. So, the topics that we'll look at, we will review um, the verbal endings that we've learned so far. Then we'll look at the first person plural and what exactly that means as a bit of a helpful hint. This is like using we, like we run, um, as we're talking, as opposed to she runs. So the Latin equivalent of this expression here. And the second person plural, um, yeah, we might as well do that. The second person plural is equivalent to y'all, or maybe depending on your dialect, you might say use. There's some various other ways of expressing this idea in American English. Okay, so for review, let's take a look at the first person singular form of a verb that ends in Latin with a long O sound. And we'll use facio here. So this little person right here might say aliquid facio. I'm making something. So that facio with the O ending implies I. The second person is equivalent to you in modern American English, or thou in Old and Middle English. So facis with that S ending. Canam facis, she says to him, you are making dinner. S ending, second person in English equivalent to you. The third person is Z, or to be gendered, we could say she, he, or it. And that ends in Latin with a T. So that is describing an event. I might say, describing this picture, Alem facet, Z makes or is making a bird. This third person, really, really common in describing events and historical situations. Okay, finally, we in the plural have learned the third person. That's describing not what I do, not what you do, but what another group does. And that ends with an NT. So in showing what's going on in this the scene, we could say makinulam faki unt. That is, they are making a machine, a small device. So the nt there equivalent to they. All right. So these endings ost and nt, those are probably pretty familiar to you by now. Let's take a look at some new endings. And these are the first person plural endings, or rather, this is the first person plural ending. This is the ending we use for every active form of the verb in all sorts of different tenses. We're just looking at the present active indicative right now, though. So that is mus, well, mus ending here, mus. When that is added to the end of the verb, that's like saying we, whatever our verb is. So we are making in this case. Again, this is our progressive aspect. Depending on context, this could also be we make. So let's take a look at an example of this. There's a lot of people building a building, and one or all of them could say "Edificium facimus." That is, we are making a building. So that muss ending is appropriate when somebody is describing an action, not just that that person is taking, but that that person and other people included are taking. So we in English, we are making fakimos. Okay, let's try the second person plural. That's a tis ending. Uh, this would be equivalent to y'all are making. And so this is when you're addressing not just one person, but a group of people. And so this person right over here would say, domum facitis. Y'all are making a domum a home or a house. So tis for y'all are making. So our endings altogether are ost mustisnt. Ost mustisnt. You can come up with a mnemonic to try and remember those. Very often uh, in Latin grammars and in other Latin courses, you will see that this chart is the regular presentation of verbs and their endings. These six cells with the title singular and plural, and then the labels for the rows for second and third. Very regular presentation of the verbs. Okay, so we're going to look at one more set of verbs. That is the verb esse, the verb to be, and hopefully this will be really familiar to you guys. Most common verb in the language. It's a little irregular, but in the use of these new endings, it's not too irregular. So the first person singular, again, that is equivalent to I, sum, that ending. This dog would say, canis sum, I am a dog. Second person, again, that is you or thou as S. So S, Ibby, you are there. This person is saying, pointing to me, pointing to you. S, Ibby, you are there. Third person, that is our Z ending. Um, and we could say, mensa est vacua. The table is empty. Est for is. So am, are, is. And finally, in the plural, we've already seen the third person plural that is equivalent to they. And talking about these trees, I guess we could say arbores sunt altae. The trees are tall. Okay, so all of that should be reviewed, should be pretty familiar. And let's take a look now at the first person plural. Look, we still use that mus ending. Um, and we're using the su um, stem here. You probably should have underlined or made that M in green also. So mus is our ending in the third person plural still, or first person plural, sorry, still. And these people, they look like they're enjoying themselves. Might say, Laiti sumus. We are happy. So sumus is equivalent to we are. Okay. All right. Let's try the second person plural. That uses the other stem, but a familiar ending, tis, tis. So, looks like we've got some people pointing. What are they saying? Laeti estis. Yeah, they look. They appear to be having a good time. So estis, y'all, y'all are estis. Y'all are happy. Um, and that's really, I think, all we've got here. Again, notice our layout is this same grid with the forms we're talking about in these six cells, title of singular and plural above, uh, rows labeled for second and third here. Probably a good idea to commit this table to memory. I'll let you decide the best way to do that, but You, as a Latin student, will often be expected to just rattle off sum es est, sumus est sunt. Um, and so, yeah, go ahead, meet expectations. Um, Memorize this little chart here. Okay, so let's take a look at what we discussed today. We reviewed the different forms of verbs. Um, the first person O, second person S, third person T, third person plural nt. I guess we might as well make our little chart here again. Singular, plural, first, second, third. And this is just for regular old verbs, ending in O, S, T, and nt. And we learned our first person plural ending for regular old verbs was mus. And our second person plural ending for regular old verbs in the active indicative present tense is tis. Um, we then did the same review process for esse. Our main takeaway here, main difference, esse ends in an M. We will see other tenses where the first person singular ends in an M, but otherwise we use st, mustis, and nt for that also. Okay, hopefully you are feeling very confident about recognizing the first person plural and the second person plural at this point. So we will call things to a close and say, walete, amici.